You ever feel like you're writing music and maybe you're getting stuck? Maybe you have writer's block. Or maybe you're over perfectionist. You're kind of waiting for that perfect song or perfect album and you're overthinking it. So you work on it and you work on it, or you think about it, but you never actually finish anything or release a song. Well, here are some things that help me out and that I like to think about. So I was watching some YouTube videos on drawing, which is one of my other hobbies. And I came across this really interesting quote that I'm going to read to you. So it's by Walt Stanchfield, who was a Disney animator. And he says, "We all have 10,000 bad drawings in us. The sooner we get them out, the better." And I feel like this can apply to music as well. The way I interpret it is that most of what you're gonna write is gonna be bad. So it's your job to just get through all the bad stuff in order to eventually get to the good stuff. But in order to do that, you have to work at it. There's no shortcuts, there's no way around it. You just have to keep producing things and get better and better. So this could be discouraging in some way because 10,000 songs is essentially, if you write a song every day, it'll take you 27 years to get to a good song. So obviously it's not meant to be a literal number to gauge yourself by. But I think the idea is that in order for you to get to the good stuff, you have to produce a lot of bad stuff. The other way to think about it is that a lot of times we get overwhelmed by starting a project. We overthink it, we overanalyze it before we even start. So I think if you set yourself as a goal to write a bad song, you're more likely to start working on something without overthinking it. Because if your goal is to achieve perfection, it's going to be very hard for you to even start. But if the goal is just to write a bad song, then it's easy. You just pick up an instrument and you play as bad chords as you can and you just sing random things. But then what ends up happening is that because you're in the process of working at something, the good ideas eventually will creep in and you'll be able to capture them. And the better you get at this, the more you'll be able to quickly recognize which ideas are good and which are bad. So in a way, you're kind of tricking yourself by lowering the expectations and making yourself more comfortable, and then eventually stumbling upon the good stuff as you're just doing more and more work. And this also ties into the concept of the muse. Which, as I've listened to a lot of interviews from successful artists of all different kinds, writers, poets, painters, musicians, etc., a lot of them seem to believe that there's no such thing as the muse. It is only in the act of writing and consistently working at something every day and going through the grunt work that you eventually kind of chip away at the bad stuff and eventually uncover nuggets of gold. There's another expression that is used a lot in software development, and that is that done is better than perfect. And I think this applies here too, and it's the same kind of vibe. Where you accept the fact that nothing will ever be perfect. So instead of creating this artificial barrier even at the start, you want to diminish that by realizing that your goal isn't perfection, your goal is just to output as much as you can. And once you get into that mindset, it becomes easier to relax and to just start working. And then you realize by forcing yourself to work, that's where the real good stuff comes out, and not in the thinking and overthinking process. I mean, ask yourself, is it better to have produced 10,000 bad songs or no songs at all? And if you think about it, it's really hard to come up with 1,000 bad songs. Not that it's hard to come up with 1,000 songs, but it's hard to actively make them all bad. So I think the act of trying to make something bad, eventually you'll stumble on something good. It seems almost inevitable. And good and bad is, of course, subjective, especially in art. So even if you think you wrote 1,000 bad songs, chances are that somebody else will find one of those to be good. So I would encourage you to just write 1,000 bad songs. Or 10,000 bad songs. Or just one bad song. Or just one bad lyric. One bad chord progression. Or one bad note. Eventually, that bad note will turn into 2 bad notes, then 3, then 4. Next thing you know, you had written a bad song. Then 2, then 3, 4, and so on, until you'll surprise yourself. And you'd have finally written a good song. And even if you never write a good song, the journey of having written 10,000 bad songs will hopefully have been rewarding. Anyways, those are just my thoughts on songwriting. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.